Do you guys remember this movie from the 80s where this guy was threatened and he pulled out something bigger than what the other guy had?
And your wallet.
Nick, give him your wallet.
What for?
He's got a knife.
That's not a knife. That's a knife.
Yeah, that movie. Today we're going to talk about something that is similar, like what these guys are discussing.
Check out this game console.
That's not a game console, this is.
Whoa there, man, that is more than a game console. So yeah, guys, we're going to take a look at the new game console, the R60 Max. This thing is freaking ridiculous and massive, but I think I'm going to have fun unboxing and giving this a test. Remember to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss an episode. But let's get past the silly shenanigans of AI and let's get into the meat of this and let's unbox this massive handheld and find out, is it just another e-waste or could it have some charm? All right, so as always, we'll start with the box. And boy, it's a big box already. I mean, this thing is already humongous. But we do have the R60 Max on the front with a anime looking logo, 6-inch large screen game. We do have a picture of it on the front. 3D games, 4K, 6-inch HD. Yeah, this is a 6-inch vertical. My God. Large screen, large battery, two-player versus. Moving around the side, and there's the R60 Max logo followed by the colors. Now, when we ordered this, we only got this in they only offered it in the white or black, but you can see there's a lot of colors here. So there is quite a few colors planned for this. I do think this is going to end up being plastered all over TikTok and some of the other social medias. Moving around the rest of the side, we do have 6-inch IPS 1280 by 720, RGB ambient, a 6,000 milliamp hour battery, a 2.4 gig wireless, Cortex A7 3-core. So, interesting CPU. I don't know what's in this thing, but that's interesting. And a 128 gig card. And then looking on the back here, we have some shenanigans going on, okay? What's going on here? If you look here, you can see that they've covered up where it says the display screen is a 5-inch. Was it a 5-inch? Is it a 5-inch with the bezel at 6-inch? I don't know, but the little shenanigans going on there, they do have it covered up. We do have an ARM Cortex A7, DDR3, 256 megs, TF card, headphones, Linux, etc., etc. But let's get this big old box open because we want to see the real magic. And so opening this big package, get it open here. We look inside and get the handheld out of the way. And we have a manual. And it does say R60 Max. To get it to focus there. R60 Max Operation Manual. And then it mentions Linux and it says Titan OS. What is Titan OS? I don't know. We'll have to find out, but please, before read this manual carefully. Yeah. Looking at it, it's a pretty decent manual. It's nicely laid out. It's in good color. Has a picture of it. DC port, game types, supports following emulators. So yeah, the specs here. Below that, we do have our typical USB cord. No surprises here. And that's pretty much it. Nothing much else in there. So let's get this put into the box and get it out of the way, because what we really want is we want to check out the handheld itself. And so, whoa, as I pick this thing up, my God, it is massive. It's massive. I mean, I can't believe how big it is. But the very first impressions of this thing is it's very comfortable. I mean, surprisingly, it's very light, so it does feel very light. but the plastic on it seems decent. It doesn't seem terrible. I like the feel of this. It's got nice little texture to it, and I'm a little bit taken aback at first in holding this thing. Overall, it is big, but it doesn't feel bulky for my hands. It's not heavy. I guess that's the real key here, because it's not heavy. It is wide and a bit flat, although it does have those butt humps to help hold it. Now, testing out the buttons, these are bigger buttons. So, and the buttons are, yeah, that's nice. The buttons are pretty nice. Now, they are connected, but they have a nice feel to them. They're not real loud. They feel like they're conductive membrane. Rubber membrane, I mean. Yeah, they feel pretty good. Now going over to this D-pad, and this has a unique looking D-pad, as you can see here. And it's got this divot in the middle that you can push kind of straight down, but you can pivot and rock it, which is not bad. I kind of like this. Testing the D-pad here, and yeah, I'm a little surprised here. The D-pad is not terrible. I don't hate it. Now the placement of it's pretty good too. In the middle bottom here, for holding this, it's got a pretty good location for how big this is. And then moving on to the sticks, and oh, we don't have R3 and L3, but with the CPU that's in this thing, that may not be a big deal anyways, but it is just the stick without R3 and L3. It does move okay. It's probably going to be prone to drift. These aren't Hall, so who knows? But again, how many analog games are you really going to play on this? So I don't really know if it even has analog. It could be digital tied to it. And then we have these soccer buttons. What is the deal with the soccer buttons? Look at that. They have a nice texture to them. I got to say, they feel pretty nice to the touch. Definitely like the way they feel. They're loud. And there's 3 of them, so we do have select, start, and a menu button. So that's what that's about. And then you have the speaker, a front-facing speaker right there where that diamond is. And a nice little texture design here. Moving to the back, and we have typical shoulder buttons for the R line. These feel just like the R buttons on the R36 Max. So no different here. They're very loud and they're big. Now, because of how big and flat this is spread out, holding this and trying to reach these is a little bit of a challenge. I have medium-sized hands, so somebody who has much larger hands like Bruce from Gorilla X might really love this and might love holding on to this, because it is quite big and wide but flat and not heavy. So overall, what are my thoughts on this? Yes, it's ridiculously big to hold, but it's not super heavy. It's pretty flat. The plastic they use is actually decent. It has nice buttons. It's got decent, okay analog sticks. It may not be analog, and you probably don't need them anyways. And then it's got a D-pad that's a little surprising to me. I didn't expect to really respond to the D-pad like I did. It's got the nice ergonomics on the back with the butt cheeks. The shoulder buttons are real loud. They're a little bit hard to actually reach, so I'm not a big, huge fan of the shoulder buttons. But again, we don't know what CPU is in this, and it just is, for $50, kind of nice feeling. I didn't expect it. I really thought I was going to hate it. I thought I was going to make fun of it, but I might still, because we haven't turned it on. So let's get into turning this thing on and find out and see if this thing is actually going to be ridiculous or not. Okay, so let's get this thing booted up and turning this thing on. We are, as it boots up here, greeted by a very familiar sort of R logo, R Max 60 Max. First Impressions has a pretty clear screen. Now, I think there's some shenanigans going on with this, because I don't know that this is an actual 6-inch screen. I think it's actually a 5-inch screen with a huge bezel, because it just doesn't fill up. There's a big bezel here, so I don't believe it's a 6-inch screen. Looking at this Titan OS and going through it, there's a lot of games here, so it's pretty impressive. We do have some sections here, shmups, which are not shmups. It looks like shmups are sports. Okay, what's going on? Going into sports, and we have shooters. So there's some errors here. Fighting has fighting, okay. And racing has racing games. So not a great start here with the software. It is probably highly customized for the CPU, whatever it is, because, of course, it's not going to be very powerful. This is definitely something way below a 3326, maybe even below a 3128 if it's only 3-core. I'm not sure about a 3-core. That's a little bit different. But again, sport is not sport. Looking through this and going over to Game Boy Advance and Game Boy Color, the same thing. Under Game Boy Color, you have the Game Boy Advance games, and under Game Boy Advance, you have the Game Boy Color games. So not a lot of quality control here. But this is a pretty simple system that someone who just wants plug and play could play with. You do have favorites, history, game, search, and then setup. Going into setup, we do have display settings. We can do backlight, video aspect ratio, full screen, or you can go into native. Now, there's also a screensaver here, and then power management and your backlight. Not a lot. There's not a lot here that you can really do here in setup. You can go into sound settings and change your key press sound. There is a theme here. There's 3 different themes that are color-based. Not very big difference in them, but as you can see here, it does look pretty nice. And then your system settings where you have language. You can scan games, so you can add games to this on the card, which is nice, and then a shutdown. So playing through this and looking through the software, it is not the best sort of curation here. I think it's a good early start. I would call this a beta, if anything, but I'm not sure this is the kind of company or product that's going to get any kind of updates. We don't really know what this CPU is, so it may not get custom firmware. And I really think that this screen is probably only 5 inches, and that's why they had the shenanigans on the back of the box. It's probably not actually 6 inches, maybe with the bezel at 6 inches across, but it is a decent screen. It's an IPS screen, and it seems okay. Some of the games are stretched out. Now, going into the games and playing them, you don't have full control really over this system. You do have, thankfully, over Retroarch, you can get in and change some settings, but you don't have the full control, and it's an older version of Retroarch. But you do have some things you can do here with it. Overall, this is probably really aimed at the TikTok crowd, at the plug and play. And just anecdotally, I asked my wife to hold this and let me know what she thinks about it, and she thought it was pretty comfortable. So again, we have something that could set the frame rate for Ambernick, maybe coming out with a real 6-inch screen, something this big. I didn't find it to be unwieldy. It actually could be good if we could get something that is shapely like this, nice like this, with a better screen and a better CPU. But for under $50, I don't completely hate this thing. Actually, there's a little bit of charm to it, but it's e-waste, and it's one of those things where Dead Fred is probably going to like it a little better than maybe most other people. But if you gave this to someone that has no idea about retro gaming or handhelds at all, I do think that they would find this to be pretty enjoyable. I think playing some of the stuff on this, it's all stretched out. You don't have real good granular control to make it look good. And a 16:9 screen for lower end emulation is not really the best screen paired with it anyway. So you have a lot of issues. But overall, I don't find this to be terrible. I think we're going to see this like with the R36 Max everywhere. It's one of my most popular videos. I think this one might end up being a very popular video. Leave me a comment if you got this or someone gave this to you. I want to know what your thoughts are on it. It looks ridiculously big, and you can see the pictures as we compare them side by side. I'll show you here against other systems. It is freaking just hilariously big, but honestly, holding it is pretty comfortable. It's not overly heavy. It's somewhat thin and flat, although curvy. It's hard to describe, and it's just kind of, it's definitely a conversation piece. I'll say that. So yeah, so kind of had fun reviewing this one. I don't think we'll do a whole lot more on this. I don't know, maybe some custom firmware. Maybe I'll open it up and verify the CPU in a post. Not going to do it on the video, but I might do a post with it so you guys can check it out. Anyways, remember to hug your loved ones and love your hugged ones, because tomorrow is never promised. We'll see you next time, Deadheads. Dead Fred out. Hey guys, sorry to interrupt the video, but I wanted to take a moment to talk about today's sponsor, Amazon.com, and this awesome product they sent over for us to take a look at. They sent over a display frame where you can proudly display and store safely both your Game Boy Color or Game Boy Advance. It comes in both styles. These are specially designed compatible with Nintendo Game Boy Color or Nintendo Game Boy Advance, which holds one console and 6 cartridges in a vertical layout. As you can see, this has a solid construction, it's easy to put together, and it looks fantastic. Hit the link in the description if you'd like to pick one of these up for yourselves. We want to thank Amazon for being our partner, and back to the show.